CASU MARZU. CASU MARZU is a Sardinian sheep's milk cheese that contains live maggots. The cheese is made by allowing pecorino to ferment beyond normal aging, then introducing cheese flies whose larvae digest the fats and produce a soft, creamy texture with a sharp flavor that regular pecorino cannot achieve. The maggots are translucent, approximately 8 millimeters long, and still alive when the cheese is eaten. Some people remove them before eating. Most Sardinians consider this unnecessary. The European Union banned CASU MARZU for sale in 2002 on food safety grounds. Sardinia continued making it anyway under traditional food protections. A cheese that requires live insects to exist is illegal in most of Europe and considered a cultural treasure in the region that invented it.
Century egg. Century eggs are not 100 years old. They are preserved for weeks to months in a mixture of clay, ash, salt, quicklime, and rice hulls, which raises the pH dramatically and transforms the egg through an alkaline chemical reaction, rather than fermentation. The white becomes a translucent dark brown jelly. The yolk turns gray-green and creamy. The smell is strongly sulfuric. The flavor is intensely savory, with a complexity that fresh eggs cannot produce. Century eggs have been eaten in China for over 600 years. Western food media consistently ranks them among the most challenging foods in the world. Chinese cuisine uses them in congee, tofu dishes, and as a standalone appetizer. A chemical transformation that looks alarming produces a flavor that requires no apology.
SURSTRÖMMING. SURSTRÖMMING is fermented Baltic herring that has been a Swedish tradition since the 16th century, when salt was expensive and partial fermentation was used to preserve fish with less salt than full curing required. The fish is fermented in barrels for months before being canned. Fermentation continues inside the sealed can, which bulges visibly from the pressure of gases produced by the bacteria. Opening a can of surströmming indoors is considered socially unacceptable in Sweden. It is opened outside, downwind, often while leaning away from the can. The smell has been measured as one of the most putrid of any food on Earth in scientific odor studies. Airlines have banned it from flights. Germany banned it from apartment buildings. Sweden considers it a national delicacy and eats it every August at dedicated surströmming parties. A fish that smells like a biological hazard is the centerpiece of an annual Swedish celebration.
Rocky Mountain oysters. Rocky Mountain oysters are bull testicles, served fried at rodeos, county fairs, and western bars across the American mountain states. The name is a deliberate misdirection. No seafood is involved. The dish is eaten at festivals dedicated specifically to it in Montana, Colorado, and Idaho, where testicle festivals, sometimes called Testy Festi, attract thousands of attendees annually. The texture after frying is similar to chicken, mild in flavor and significantly less confrontational than the description suggests to first-time eaters. A ranching byproduct from the castration of young bulls became a regional delicacy with its own festival circuit. The name exists because Rocky Mountain testicles was considered less marketable.
Raw chicken sashimi. Raw chicken sashimi exists in Japan and almost nowhere else. Called torisashi, it is served at specialist restaurants in Kagoshima Prefecture, using chickens raised under specific biosecurity conditions that reduce salmonella risk to levels considered acceptable by Japanese food safety authorities. The chickens are slaughtered to order and served within hours. Japanese food safety regulators have debated banning it for decades. It remains legal in specific regions under strict conditions. Every food safety authority outside Japan considers this unacceptable. Every food safety authority inside Japan considers the regional tradition worth preserving. Raw chicken sashimi is the most controversial food legally served in any developed country, and the debate about whether it should exist has never been resolved.
Bone marrow. Bone marrow was peasant food for most of Western history because it required cracking bones that butchers discarded after selling the meat. The marrow itself, a rich fatty substance that produces blood cells in living animals, roasts into a gelatinous butter-like consistency with a flavor more intense than any muscle cut. British chef Fergus Henderson put roasted bone marrow on the menu at St. John Restaurant in London in 1994, and food writers declared it a revelation. Within a decade, it had migrated from butcher scraps to upscale restaurant menus globally. Bone marrow now costs more per gram than the steaks served alongside it.
Blue Rare Wagyu beef. Blue Rare Wagyu is cooked for under 2 minutes total. The outside is seared at maximum heat. The inside remains cold and completely raw. Wagyu fat melts at body temperature, which means the intramuscular fat in a blue rare Wagyu steak begins dissolving the moment it touches your tongue, before you fully bite into it. A5 Wagyu served blue rare is considered by Japanese beef specialists to be the correct preparation for the highest grade cuts, because heat destroys the fat structure that makes the meat worth its price. A steak that costs hundreds of dollars per 100 grams is best eaten almost entirely raw. Most people who pay that price choose medium rare anyway, and the Japanese beef community considers this a tragedy.
Shark fin soup. Shark fin soup has been served at Chinese banquets for over 500 years as the ultimate status symbol. The fin itself has almost no flavor. The taste comes entirely from the rich chicken or pork broth it is cooked in. Guests at a Chinese wedding who receive shark fin soup are being told something specific about how much the host values their presence. A bowl can cost several $100s. Environmental campaigns against shark finning have reduced consumption significantly in mainland China and banned it entirely in over a dozen countries. A soup that tastes like the broth surrounding it costs hundreds of dollars and is eaten for the status rather than the flavor. The shark provides texture. The host provides the statement.
Tripe. Tripe is the stomach lining of a cow and has been eaten across every culture that raises cattle for as long as cattle have been raised. It requires hours of cleaning, blanching, and slow cooking before it becomes edible. The result is a texture unlike any other meat, chewy and gelatinous simultaneously, that absorbs the flavor of whatever it is cooked with more completely than muscle meat ever does. Menudo in Mexico, tripe alla romana in Italy, and andouillette in France all use tripe as their central ingredient. Every culture that found it inconvenient to throw away a stomach discovered independently that it was worth keeping. Wagyu beef tongue. Standard beef tongue requires 3 to 4 hours of simmering before the outer membrane peels away to reveal tender meat. Wagyu beef tongue contains intramuscular fat distributed through the muscle at concentrations that standard cattle cannot match. The result, when properly prepared, is a texture that dissolves rather than chews. Japanese yakiniku restaurants slice Wagyu tongue paper thin and grill it for seconds over high heat. Korean BBQ serves it similarly. The combination of the hardest working muscle in the animal with the highest fat content beef available produces something that neither category achieves independently. A cut that Western butchers hide produces results that Japanese restaurants charge accordingly for. Blood sausage. Blood sausage exists in every culture that raises animals for meat. Britain has black pudding, Spain has morcilla, France has boudin noir, Germany has blutwurst, the Philippines has dinuguan. Every culture independently discovered that cooking blood with fat and grain inside a casing produced something edible, filling, and flavorful. Blood is rich in iron and protein. The iron content is what gives blood sausage its distinctive metallic edge that first-time eaters either embrace immediately or do not. Black pudding became a contestant on the Great British Bake Off as a pastry filling in 2016, and the resulting controversy generated more viewer responses than any other episode that season. Beef brains. Beef brains were a delicacy in French cuisine for centuries and appeared on American restaurant menus without controversy until 1986, when the British BSE crisis linked bovine brain consumption to variant Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease in humans. The FDA banned beef brains from cattle over 30 months old in 2004. The market collapsed overnight. Before the ban, scrambled eggs and brains was a standard breakfast dish in the American Midwest, particularly in Missouri and Arkansas. A prion disease in British cattle permanently ended a regional American breakfast tradition. The dish existed on American tables for generations and disappeared within a single food safety announcement. Foie gras. Foie gras is the fattened liver of a duck or goose produced by force-feeding the bird through a tube for the final weeks of its life. The process is called gavage. It has been practiced since ancient Egypt, where carvings showing forced feeding of geese date back over 4,000 years. France considers foie gras a protected cultural and gastronomical heritage. California banned it in 2012, reinstated it, banned it again, and reinstated it again. The legal history of foie gras in California involves more court cases than most criminal trials. A 4,000-year-old Egyptian technique is simultaneously a French national treasure and a California legal crisis.
The burnt burger. The burnt burger is a burger patty cooked past well done until the exterior is genuinely charred and carbonized. It is the choice of a specific type of customer who orders it knowing exactly what they want and does not require the kitchen's opinion on the matter. Professional cooks find this request difficult to fulfill without expressing visible discomfort. The Maillard reaction that produces a proper crust operates between 140 and 165 degrees Celsius. Above that temperature, the same compounds that create flavor begin breaking down into bitter carbon. A burnt burger is technically beyond the range of controlled cooking. Some people prefer it. Food science has no explanation for this that satisfies everyone involved.